you look before and beyond? Or would you walk away this time? Do you realize, do you recognize it's never over? Or would you walk away this time? 'Cause we all face the fight as we search for the light in the dead of the night. Will you rise above the days to come? Will it be enough? Or will you walk away this time? Look to your left, to your right, there by your side. 'Cause we all face the fight as we search for the light in the dead of the night. Feel that rush through time. Can you feel this? You found change. Only
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to week 8 of Wintersplit bit for this game between Oracle and Codex. Joining me once again is Kerim, and go on, talk us through this cracker of a game that we've got lined up.
Well, first of all, I really want to point out that you did say Wintersplit, which, in fact, it can be viewed sometimes as one, but in fact, it is the Wintersplit. Moving into spring really shortly. Of course, today we're going to be witnessing a battle between middle-of-the-pack teams. KMG Oracle against Codex are going to be showing their muscles, trying to fight their way into the playoffs. Of course, these teams, they haven't had the best of showings recently. Oracle, they sort of have been on the down low for a while, just getting beaten up by the teams above them. They still somehow managed to rack up 8 points though, and so has been the story for Codex. So today, both of these teams, or well, either, I should say, have to get a win, and if it's going to be a 2-0, it's just going to make their route to playoffs that much more simpler.
Now, both teams are currently tied on 8 points, as you mentioned, but they are both sitting in 6th equal. So this is literally the game that determines the final point, the final position going into playoffs. And Codex do have one game in hand, but if we look across to next week as well, Oracle are playing against Old Boys, who currently sit at the bottom of the table, while Codex have to face Hillerod, who are 2nd. So, I honestly feel that this game is more important for Codex than it is for Oracle, because you could say that it's going to be it's going to be very hard for them to pick up a point next week. So they need to get as many points as they can.
Oh yeah, definitely. And even despite the fact that both these teams are going to have a wildly different schedule in terms of how difficult that match is going to be, they still have to rack up this win, just because there are those teams like Chimera and Virgo still willing to go into the playoffs instead of them. Now, Virgo are currently sitting above both of these teams on 10 points, and Chimera are just 1 point behind them. So for either of these teams, if they lose, it's going to be so difficult for them to try to win over Virgo, assuming that their matches go to their favor. So once again, a really important match today, possibly the most important one, as you rightly said, just because it's going to affect how the teams are going to look going into the playoffs, and also which teams are actually going to be going there, because it's not something that we get to talk about too very often.
And the only team that has really got a guaranteed spot is Onyx and I think Hillerod.
Yes.
But as we are soon going to be, as we have actually entered the pro draft, where do you think we're going to see the spiciness in this game?
Ooh, so I really would love to see some spicy picks heading over into that top lane. You do have Space Viking, who has played that Aatrox once. So while that pick has come out of the meta a tiny bit just because of that Eve healing being gutted to the absolute ground, he can still try to pick it up and try to sway the favor for their own team. On the other hand, you have Codex with Godblade in that top lane, who plays stuff like Riven. Yasuo, Fiora come to mind. So, very aggressive picks there. Outside of the top lane, for Oracle, you have Hjorth in the bot lane playing something like Lucian and Ezreal, and that bot lane is known for finding those leads themselves, which is a similar story for Codex. However, for Codex, it was mostly the case of their jungler coming to help out, and it wasn't actually this AD carry playing with them, which is Aggersbo. It was Zeplinzi. So, I'm really going to be looking forward to seeing this AD carry play, because we can compare that style, because we actually haven't seen Codex nor Oracle play for over 4 weeks on stream, so let's see how much growth they have managed to accumulate.
And going back over to that bot lane of Oracle, Tun is filling in for Pixel as support, and Tun has only played 1 game, which was on the Leona. So again, a really aggressive pick we could see as the Alistar's banned out, which does counter Leona somewhat. So again, we could see a really nice spicy bot lane with Hjorth and Tun maybe getting a nice early advantage. Two bans have been banned away from Codex for joining the lobby late. I know, it's brilliant. I thought that myself, by the way.
Okay, sure. So, yeah, the Codex lineup did not come into the lobby in time, and so they lost 2 of those bans. Let's talk about the bans for a bit. Oracle, banning out the comfort picks. I'm going to say, of course, they're on the blue side, so they do get the privilege of taking that comfort pick for themselves. Something like that Lucian makes sense. Codex were forced to settle on just 1 ban. They decided to go with that Lissandra, of course one of the strongest picks in the game right now, but Oracle, they're going to be happy with locking themselves that Lucian. Hjorth has shown us that he can play that champion to almost its fullest potential, and so right now it's up to Codex to pick away something like that Braum. Pairing it up with the Ezreal would open this Braum pick up to go beef the mid lane up a tiny bit, set up some plays, and possibly pair it up with an aggressive mid laner for the side of Codex.
However, Codex are flashing the Karthus, so the Lucian Braum is available, as is that Lucian Leona. Now Karthus, it must be a Karthus jungle, right?
It can be. It can also be flexed into the mid lane right now. Of course, that fact that they decided to go for Ezreal and Karthus first opens up Oracle to just locking themselves a Braum, and they're hovering the Sylas. So this would be a really terrifying comp already for Codex. Of course, Sylas did not get banned out similarly to that Lucian, so you're already setting yourself up for that powerful bot lane. And now you will have the Sylas with the possibility of stealing away a Karthus ultimate, something that deals a ridiculous amount of damage late game. And Sylas, if he gets a few early game kills, is going to be he's going to be able to get those kills in even quicker than Karthus just because of his scaling.
Now Codex, they are flashing the Annie. They will lock it in, so that's going to go over to El Grande. And interesting, yes, I put the accent on, but as we've constantly talked about with Sylas, is you always want to take Sylas as a counter pick so that you know you're going to get good ults. Ezreal, Karthus, and Annie are all really nice ults, especially the Karthus and Ezreal one, because Ezreal usually builds AD, but his ult scales with AP, and an AP Ezreal that ults deals a lot of damage. So Sylas building AP, that ult will also, it can blow someone up.
Yeah, and I won't lie, I'm actually not sure how this interaction works, but Sylas transfers some of the AD scaling on those abilities that he manages to steal away into AP. If it stacks with the already pre-existing AP on Ezreal, I am not sure. Maybe he just utilizes the already existing one, but still, taking that ult away from Ezreal is still going to deal an incredible amount of damage, similarly to that Karthus, so it doesn't really matter which one he decides to take late game. Codex are going to have to fight against one of these, and presuming that it does get into the late game, Sylas is going to have an incredibly short cooldown on that ultimate, so he can just spam a couple of them in that team fight, and that is going to be an incredible amount of damage for Oracle in those late game fights. So Codex right now, they're playing the team comp, they're playing the poke oriented composition right now. They have that Ezreal and Karthus. Something that we often see paired up with this is the Zoe, but this time around it's going to be Annie. Now mind you, it can technically still go to the support role, yes, but I do believe that it's going to be going into the mid lane to try and shut Sylas down a tiny bit.
El Grande has actually played Annie once, which was last time out against Old Boys. He played Annie into the Vladimir, and he did fairly well. I think he went 7-3. So I mean, clearly his Annie is decent, and we'll have to see whether it can really again today, as Shen going to be locked in.
Ooh, so Shen is going to be likely going into that bot lane together with that Ezreal. Of course, right now, everything is a flex pick for Codex, so can technically go into that top lane as well. Once again, just making sure that these champions stay alive on the team of Codex, and so that they're just able to poke and poke and poke KMG Oracle to Kingdoms Come into Oblivion. Just make sure that they don't get to play the game. But Oracle, they're drafting actually against this, and I really like what they're getting here with that Nocturne pick. They're getting something with really good engage, and while right now they don't have anything to pair it up with, something like that Orianna Ball or something like that Shen, which was taken away by Codex, they can still get a good amount of engaging and try to blow these very squishy members of Codex up. Ezreal blows up, Annie blows up, Karthus doesn't blow as much as you would probably like him to. Shen, he's pretty tanky, but still he's going to likely get shredded through something like that Draven if he gets it going in the early game.
Yeah, Kerim, we got a Draven.
Yes.
And we've got a Lucian as well.
And it's going to be Lucian top lane, I believe. It could be also that Lucian...
Silas could go top lane as well.
Okay, sorry, I'm going to have to cut you off. Draven is Zoe. Yeah, just to, point that out.
I can kind of see the similarities between the champion. One's a guy, one's a girl.
One's a very muscly, egotistical man, and the second one is a centuries-old lolly. Yes. That's exactly what she is. Okay. Regardless, Zoe's role in a team composition is vastly different to a Draven. Let's put it that way. Yes. So Zoe is going to be able to find those picks with those trouble bubbles. Something that we have seen Zoe excel in is those poke compositions, something that Codex did not decide to go for. So I'm getting a bit of a mixed message. However, if in the mid game you're going to be seeing those sleepy trouble bubbles hit after hit after hit, get hit after hit after hit, of course, there is a possibility for Oracle to just jump onto whoever is adjacent to them, and if they're sleepy, well, they're going to get that bonus damage in. They're going to get chain CC'd by that Braum. They're going to get burst to hell by this Nocturne, Silas, and Lucian, and of course Zoe as well. And
just to confirm now, the Jax lock-in pretty much confirms that it is going to be a Shen support. So Zoe going to go in the mid lane for Oracle. So Silas will be top most likely. I mean, I highly doubt it's going to be Nocturne top and Silas jungle. But again, I just want to mention another ult interaction. Codex with the Shen. Silas is AP. When he takes that Shen ultimate, he's going to give a massive shield to whoever it is he ults to. So most likely to be the Lucian, or actually ulting on top of the Nocturne.
Yes, it definitely can happen, maybe just getting that Silas delivery system. Assuming that we're going to be seeing this Shen and Ezreal roam around not together, there is a potential for Silas to just go, against wherever Shen is and then ult into another lane. Is a possibility, but in the mid game, it's likely not going to be the highest priority of an ultimate for him to steal, just because there is so much damage potential from that Ezreal, from that Karthus, as well as a super useful ultimate from Annie. That's a very lovely interaction. Of course, he will be dealing a metric crap ton of damage with that ulti. So once again, I really like this Silas pick in this case. It's going to be now up to Codex to try to shut him down. They will have this Karthus in the jungle, I presume, unless it's Karthus top and Jax in the jungle. Of course, still can be flexed around, but we're going to have to see a lot of pressure be developed on this Silas. If you get him snowballing, it's going to be really tough to play against him in the late game. So a lot of pressure on Codex, and most namely their jungler, Dr. Plopper, to do something with it.
And again, I'm going to go back to Oracle and how disgusting their team is. You've got a Lucian Braum in your bot lane, which is probably the strongest bot lane matchup you can get.
Yes, early game.
Yeah, of course, early game. You've also got a Nocturne Shen combination when Silas steals that Shen ultimate, which he's definitely going to do, and you will see it. And I feel like Codex took the Shen to take away the possibility of the Shen Nocturne combo. And then Silas just says, well, I can steal your ult anyway, so that's fine by me. And then you've got Zoe. And Zoe's just... Zoe. I mean, do we need to say more about her?
Well, I actually really like Zoe. I do play her oftentimes, but she's a very interesting champion in the sense that she has a pretty bad laning phase, so it can be a potential route for Dr. Plopper to come around. I mentioned in the pre-show that, just before the draft started, that the Codex love playing through their bot lane with their jungler, so this time around, it's likely not going to be Dr. Plopper doing too much just because, well, it's, you know, it's Karthus. He's just going to be farming up and getting those lovely stacks of Dark Harvest whenever he somehow manages to appear in front of an enemy champion. But outside of that, he's likely not going to be doing too much to help his lanes out. So my eyes are still going to be on the laners for Codex right now. Pay your attention to Ezreal, where Agresbo decides to go, if he's going to be sticking in that bot lane, or if he is going to be roaming together with that Shen. Shen, of course, you mentioned it a couple of times, he does have access to that ultimate, and he can try to utilize that, you know, just go over to the mid lane, pair it up with El Grande, and while Silent Knight does have the option to cleanse away from that stun, Annie has a chain CC in her kit with several stuns, so he cannot run away from that, and he may just get bursted in the laning phase.
And we will definitely have to watch out for the mid lane when El Grande does hit level 6, because as you mentioned, she just puts tippers down and just blows you up. But then again, Zoe has the same potential if she can hit that sleepy triple bubble. Annie is not exactly a champion that has a lot of maneuverability, so can't dash away to safety or anything like that. So if the sleepy bubble does hit, Silent Knight could maybe get off a lot of damage from the battle.
Yeah, definitely, of course. So he does not have too much damage in the laning phase. Her main potential is unlocked in the mid game when you start to roam around with your team to try to get these picks. That is going to be something that the entire composition of Oracle are going to be heavily focused on, because you do have the Zoe, you do have the Nocturne, you do have the Braum. I mentioned this quite a few times. Codex, they have drafted sort of against it, but the only real disengage that they have is Shen. So if Oracle ever get ahead and get on top of Codex, it's going to be really difficult for Codex to try to run away. They're instead going to be forced to fight, and they do not have too many strong early game presence champions. Sure, they have that Ezreal. He's relatively good in it, and Annie gets her burst unlocked immediately as soon as she hits level 6. So there is a potential route that a Codex can take to accrue some of these early game leads, but still, it's going to be Oracle in the driving seat for the first 15 minutes. Lucian Braum, you mentioned it, one of the strongest bot lanes in the game right now. Sylas, he can have a relatively easy time playing against Jax, although that Counter-Strike does counter, you know, as the name would suggest, the passive of Sylas, but still, the backup plan, as soon as he gets access to that paranoia, and possibly even before that, going into lanes where he will have just so much setup and crowd control, it's going to be really easy for him to get off a good gank.
Now, as we do head into the spectator delay, we can see all the summoner spells, and from the side of Oracle, everything is normal. Silent Knight taking the cleanse as well, while on the side of Codex, you have the Ezreal taking the TP, which I feel is something that we kind of expected anyway. You mentioned how when Shen will be able to ult and join a fight, will Agasbo be able to rotate as well and assist in that? And with the teleport, he definitely has that opportunity.
Oh yeah, and Ezreal also has now been seeing that teleport a lot more often, just because of the way that he can use it to go back into lane, to just replenish on mana. Usually you will see it happening in the sense that he will push out the wave as soon as he has enough gold for the tier. He goes back, or for the sheen in fact, he goes back, grabs either of those items because they give him a lot of mana to work with, and if he is pushing the enemy under the turret, that's great. If he is being pushed under his own turret, he will just have a lot more mana to sustain himself in that lane, so that's great as well. Now, what I want to talk about is that you guys on stream are currently seeing the bad outline of all of these players that they have decided to pick, where Godblade is playing Ezreal in the top lane. No. It's instead Agresbo on that Ezreal with a teleport, Godblade on that Jax, and Reflexed on that Shen. Outside of that, good stuff like that. Also El Grande on that Annie. Just so you guys know. It's, yeah, they kind of forgot to get into actual positions in the client, and so it's now messing up the stream graphics. Of course, thank Papa Joe that, you know, he's a very patient man and won't spam anime in the chat right now. because that would be terrifying and terrible.
Don't give him ideas, Kerem.
I'm not. That's definitely not something that I'm doing. And he just said that he got an idea from that. No, you're not. Okay. Anyway, we're gonna be moving into the game in just a short bit. Zoe has of course decided to go for that airy, summon airy. Okay, that's why it's called an airy and not an Ari. Likely just wanting to poke this Annie out of the lane is going to be interesting, given that Annie has some of the highest auto attack ranges, or actually the highest auto attack range in the game. She's not going to have too many troubles with surviving that lane. Instead, it's going to be Silent Knight that is likely going to be getting pushed in, simply because Annie has such a nice sustain from both terms of mana and range, so she won't likely be getting poked out a bit. So it's going to be up to Nocturne to try to snowball this Zoe, even if he doesn't necessarily want that to be his priority lane, as both these teams right now are getting into the game, and both these teams are looking to invade around the bottom side of the map.
Oracle pinging around that bottom area of the map, so they're going to try to sneak in there, and I'm just going to click onto Silent Knight. Hasn't leveled up an ability yet, so she can go for the Sleepy Chopper Bubble in E. Let's see if they get caught out. It's a double invade! Oh, sorry, I went high pitch there. Pardon me.
Wait.
We might be seeing a double invade, so...
Wait, so Codex right now, they do know that Oracle are there. They saw that ward being put down. They may be not sure that there is 5 of them there. They're getting spotted out right now, though.
Yeah, there is a ward in the river. You will see 4 of them.
And Silas decided to back, so if it's going to be a fight, it's going to be a 4v5 right now.
Jax is now heading up top. So I guess we're not going to see any first bloods just yet. However, it's cool. I've just realised I've got to switch over names on the game now as well.
Yes, thank you, by the way, Codex, for ruining our lives. No, no, it's okay, really. I'm just looking at the items right now, and Silas, for some reason, started with the Black Spear. That is an interesting spectator bug. Okay, I was not expecting that.
It's free. Oh no, no. I think it's a thing with Silas because you get Black Spear just in case there's a Callista.
Yeah, but do you see Callista anywhere on the map, Milky?
In bot lane, Reflex takes a lot of damage. I'm not sure. Can you just buy Black Spear?
No, you cannot. You only get it when Callista is on your team, so it's just a spectator bug. I don't believe that it's actually in his inventory right now. So bot lane going pretty even right now. Of course, it's still the level 1, and Lucian actually has the worst level 1 compared to Ezreal, simply because he has the worst range. So Agger's Bow is just able to keep on farming. At this point, at level 2, there is a potential for an all-in from both Braum and that Lucian.
Look at backup plan around the red buff. He's staying right by the red buff, and he's going to pick up first blood. A great example of counter jungling from backup plan. But as you mentioned, El Grande is here. He has the CC, but the backup plan will use the Shroud of Darkness beautifully, and El Grande may actually die now. It's going to be a second kill going over for Oracle. Now Godblade is here. Silent Knight will use the flash that he picked up from El Grande, and it's just 2 very nice kills from Oracle to start this game off.
A really nice invade there from backup plan, making sure that he utilizes the fullest potential of that terrible early game that Karthus has. Of course, Karthus, he can find those early game kills, but only if he manages to find those picks themselves, rather than being engaged upon by someone like that Nocturne. Now in the top lane, Godblade is getting a nice trade in against Viking, but nothing will come of that just yet. And I have to say, Codex overextended with that El Grande moving there, but now I'll cut myself off as in the top lane. Godblade actually manages to jump away. I'm sorry.
Space Viking almost doesn't need Godblade. Backup plan has the flash available, but Space Viking will flash himself and pick up the solo kill. And I know before the game before we actually got live, we were talking about Space Viking and would he be able to perform, and he's doing just that right now.
Well, right now I don't think that we can be ready to say if he's performing, at least just yet. Of course, it was a nice kill. Then again, Godblade, he tanked a turret hit on level 2. He was a a level below, simply because he wants to help out Dr. Plopper and El Grande, even though that didn't help them out too much in the end. And so right now he gives 1 kill away to Space Viking, and I mentioned that you will have to shut this Silas down. That is going to be a bit more difficult now that he does have that 1 kill, now that he does have that blasting one, because so many of these traits are now going to be going more easily into his favor.
However, look at Plopper and El Grande. They are by this bot side. They're going to engage. Reflected uses the dash in. Karthus is here. Wall of Pain will come through. Surely this is going to be 2 kills, and indeed it is for Codex. The kill standings now sitting at 2-2.
Well, that is a double kill heading into the pockets of Dr. Plopper. Of course, Silent Knight trying to find something over there. May hit the trouble bubble here if he predicts it well enough. Doesn't need to predict it. That's a nice little bit of damage. And right now, that double kill is going to be helping out Dr. Plopper quite a bit, of course, with that damage. He wants to be able to accrue these leads as much as he can. Of course, he does have that Dark Seal.
In the top lane, Godblade almost dying. Space Viking does not have the ultimate. Sorry, doesn't have the ultimate. He's level 5, but he doesn't have the flash available either.
And Godblade has to just jump away from that Silas. It's going to mean that Silas is going to be able to pick up so many of these platings, once again just snowballing this lane ahead and even more ahead. Of course, Jax into Silas isn't the most favorable matchup for Jax, just because Silas has that extra range on top of you, and he also has way better of a wave clear before you get your Tiamat. So right now things are going as well as you would expect them for the Jax, when you count in the fact that he also fell behind in the level from minute 2.
Yeah, and now you've got Space Vikings level 6 while Godblade's only level 4. So don't forget, Silas can still steal the ultimate even if the enemy laner hasn't hit 6 yet. But now backup plan is going to be heading over to that bot lane. There is a ward in that bush, and he will spot it with the sweet ends.
He will get spotted there. Of course, Ezreal has been able to pick up that Sheen, which will give him a lot more lane presence in that bot lane. Maybe not exactly as much as he would want to try to combat this Lucian. He has decided to pick up that Cull, which is a bit of a questionable decision, at least in my eyes, but then again, he just wants to farm up. As this Ezreal, he doesn't necessarily want to fight Lucian, at least at this point in the game. He just wants to be able to get that gold in as early as he can. However, I'll cut myself off. Spice Viking is fighting in that top lane, and he has also stolen that ultimate that you mentioned.
Yeah, and Godblade still only level 4, but in the bot lane, both getting off a fair bit of damage. And I just realised that Reflected with the W, the Spirit's Refuge, blocks the auto attacks, which stops the concussive blow passive from Tun. And that applies not only for the Shen, but also for Aga's bow on the Ezreal.
Yeah, it's a nice little interaction. A nice counter pick there happening from the side of Codex. Now they're going in though.
As Shen will dash in, the Karthus Requiem will come through. Hjorth will use a heal, but it's not going to be enough. He will perish to the hands of Dr. Plopper.
And one more kill going into the pockets of this zombie ghostly man. The Space Viking just pressuring Godblade in this top lane. It is possible for him to try to dive him. He will have that extra magic resistant armor if he desires to get a kill against this man with a lamp, but Dr. Plopper now just running over to that Mountain Drake, able to secure it for himself without too much contention, and I really like it in the hands of Codex because they have so much wave clear. Those objectives are going to be melting like butter. What I may also melt here is Godblade. He's really far pushed up, and backup line is there.
And the Paranoia will come through, but the counter strike will save Godblade from the additional damage from the Silas passive. So he will just about survive there. One ultimate has been used. Space Viking does still have the Grandmaster's Might, the Jax ultimate available to him. But you have to be careful now because the Dr. Plopper's Requiem is halfway onto being a backup. How many seconds is there?
Godblade has lost this top lane hard. I have to say, he is 36 creeps up. Space Viking He has 62. He's taken 3 of those platings. That turret is getting dealt so much damage, and it's all on the back of the fact that backup plan, he is able to move into the enemy's jungle. Dr. Plopper, he doesn't have any good setup, and it's pretty difficult to hit this stun from Jax onto someone as mobile as Silas. So Godblade, he is sort of left to his own devices, but it will mean...
mid lane, El Grande's really low. He's got how much HP is that? 8 HP. And Xylem Knight has 16 HP. And that is actually crazy.
That was very questionable. A very questionable play there from Xylem Knight, just deciding to stay there under his turret, a bit too close for my liking. Not able to find that kill in the end. El Grande will be forced to utilize his ultimate, of course, so that's sort of the silver lining. However, he still has that flash up, something that he can utilize to try to burst this Silent Knight down. He does have that Lost Chapter compared to the Lost Chapter and Blasting one. However, he does have those boots of speed with the Predator enchantment. He can now utilize it to maybe try to run over to that bot lane. You mentioned, we saw that happening a few minutes earlier, where Dr. Plopper and El Grande ran over to that bot lane and found a nice double kill into the pockets, of course, of Dr. Plopper, maybe now heading into El Grande, if he ever desires to go there.
And also, again, I want to highlight this bot lane and Dr. Plopper, because Dr. Plopper is 3-1. He's got 6 stacks on his Dark Seal. His Requiem is going to start doing a lot of damage. Both bot laners for the side of Codex are 0-0 and 3. Neither of them picked up any of those kills. In fact, as Paranoia is going to come through, it's going to land onto the Shen, taking a fair bit of damage. Can he survive? He gets the W to deny some of the basic attacks, but Agasbo will just about survive. He gets CC'd under his turret. The culling's going to come through. He will be able to escape though with the Arcane Shift. Now Dr. Popper is very low. The Requiem's going to come through. I don't think it's going to be a kill. But Godblade got into the back line. He TP'd in behind. We just about missed that. However, Godblade will pick up 1 kill. And now you've got Plopper, who is sitting 4-1 and 2 with 10 stacks on his Dark Seal.
And a really nice rotation there from Codex as well. El Grande in the meantime managed to pick up a kill in that mid lane, so he's going to be able to take these turret plates. Now, all of that is being traded for the top lane turret, but that is all well and good in Codex's books. They're getting themselves those early kills. They're getting this Karthus incredibly fed. 4 kills at 11 minutes, 10 stacks on that Dark Seal. That's about 40 extra ability power that he's accruing. And Space Viking, while he is scaling quite nicely and he's snowballing, you know, he's building a snowman right now, it may not be enough to stop this pain train that is going to beat this Karthus with a really chat pickup in Magi's.
And again, right now Codex are doing what they need to. They're denying, as we mentioned and everyone knows, Lucian and Braum are the early game hyper. Can you say early game hyper carries?
I suppose so. Early game bullies, you could say, perhaps.
They are the early game bullies, and they have been bullied out of the bot lane by an Ezreal, which just shouldn't happen. So things are going really well for Codex right now. The only thing that's not going that well is the top lane, but that's fine because Godblade is really good late game. So again, we kind of mentioned beforehand that Oracle have the better early game, Codex have the better late game. And Codex are currently winning that early game right now.
Yeah, and I don't feel like you can even say that the bot lane was won by Ezreal. It was mostly won by the great rotation of Codex, something that I'm really glad to see, because if you ever see a team playing really well in the case of getting individual outplays, that's great and it shows you the mechanical skill, but whenever they do meet these mechanically gifted players as well on the side of some other teams, it may be a bit difficult for them to try to win those games. So when you have a good macro, it's really easy to just win out most of these games as long as you're on the same amount of level. Now Paranoia in the top lane.
Paranoia gonna come through, will land culling as well, will find the kill onto Agasbo, reflected really low, will try to get to the wall to flash over, but doesn't get there in time, and that's a double kill going over to Oracle, who will now start on Shelly.
And right now, Godblade is going in onto Space Viking, making sure that he cannot get that top bot lane turret, of course. Almost dies. As a result, Space Viking not able to find the flash Q, and El Grande just died.
Got it.
Almost.
Yeah, but it's going to be an objective trade, Rift Herald for the Mountain Drake. And again, 2 Mountain Drakes onto Codex, that is not something to be laughed at, as we're going to see the Stand United coming through onto Dr. Plopper, and Space Viking is going to get so caught out there. A really, really nice play from Codex.
And you know, I mentioned that Codex, they are getting these nice macro plays, but they have got caught out way too many times. If this keeps on happening, you will be facing this Zoe who is able to just one-shot you 100 to 0 you. Backup plan has also managed to pick up another kill. Same story for Yort on that Lucian. So, well, you mentioned it, it's the early game bullies. They're still going to be able to utilize their early game power spikes better than the side of Codex. And so, right now, KMG Oracle are far from being defeated just yet. They can definitely still come back into this game. They do have that Rift Herald. Let me just check currently who it is sitting on. I'm a bit unsure. Okay, it's an Nocturne, so he can go into that sideline with that Silas to maybe try and set themselves up for a nice turret.
Yeah, and they will start on the mid lane turret. Ton will use the Unbreakable Shield. But meanwhile, in the bot lane, Space Viking shoving that lane in onto Godblade, and Godblade just getting poked out. And it's, as in the mid lane, Reflexed is here. He is trying to come in from the side, but nothing gonna happen just yet, and we're just gonna see a slow
in the bot lane though.
Oh, the counter strike coming through will get a CC under turret, and Space Viking brought very low, but here comes the Requiem. Can Space Viking actually survive? He does. 50 HP, that is ridiculous. But you have the True Shot Barrage. It will not land on Space Viking, but however the fight comes through in the river, as Paranoia will secure a double kill for the side of Oracle.
Well, you cannot kill Space Viking right now. He has so much to say, and he also managed to survive just thanks to that stolen ultimate from Godblade. Really unfortunate, but now Rift Herald in the mid lane, able to secure it without contestation. Agger's Bow cannot approach this wave at all. And right now, the 4-man of KMG Oracle are just plundering through all of these buildings of Codex.
I feel like buildings is a very sophisticated word for the turrets, but yeah, they're going to pick up.
What would it be? Okay, it's a building, right? It's just a category.
Okay, right. As Shelly will manage to get off a charge onto the inhibitor building.
Sure.
Okay.
You're just making fun of me at this point. I don't feel welcome here.
I feel like this is my response for you. I feel like you were very aggressive to me earlier on when you mentioned the summon airy. I feel like that was very provoking.
Yeah, see, so I have to say that. Everyone hates you saying that. Now in the mid lane, however, Reflexes goes in.
And Tibbers will come through, will get the CC onto Space Viking. So a beautiful engage from the side of Codex. Now Paranoia coming through, and he really know the kill will come through instantly. Ezreal will use the Arcane Shift over the wall. We're getting a 1v1 at the minute between Backup Plan and Reflexed. However, Silent Knight is here now. Agger's Bow really low, and Silent Knight will pick up one kill. He gets the ult over the wall, but cannot land the Triple Bubble, and Agger's Bow will survive. Godblade is here. He might be able to get something off, but no, he gets caught out by the Vision plant. And it's gonna be, what was it? 2 kills, 1 for Oracle.
Well, he gets that control award, but now the fight is continuing. Silent Knight, in the meantime, manages to find Agger's Bow. Godblade responds by murdering Silent Knight, but that is 1 kill getting into the pockets of the Zoe. Right now, things are starting to look like a bit of a nice little fiesta. You know, El Dia de los Muertos, maybe, someone like that. Of course, a lot of fights and skirmishes happening all over the map right now. And what you saw in that mid lane is something that you're going to start seeing more of as we move further and further into the game. That is, Shen moving at the front line and into the enemy team with either that dash and flash or just a dash. He is pretty much the only really trusty engage for Codex, and so if they're ever going to be initiating any fights, it's going to be on the back of him. And right now, he does have 4 deaths. However, he also has 5 assists, and that is simply because he sort of has to be that suicidal cannonball to try to find a fight. Something that Codex do not necessarily need to do, but it is something that they can try to utilize to press that advantage of theirs even more forward.
As we are about to approach 19 minutes into the game, the third Drake, the Infernal Drake, has spawned. The Sleepy Trouble Bubble will land onto Agger's Bow, and Tibbers coming through from Silas. Colleen coming through as well. Redemption Reflexed is fairly low, but the return Tibbers from the actual Annie will get a return kill. 1 kill going over to Oracle and 1 kill going over to Codex.
Ooh, that is the ultimate though.
Through. And Ton is so low, and the Requiem will get a kill over for Codex. It's now a 4v3 in favor of Codex, as we may see a fight around this Infernal Drake.
Oh my god, these Sleepy Trouble Bubbles are just on point. Silent Knight doing everything for his team right now. I mentioned this briefly, but all of these bubbles are just so difficult for the success of KMG Oracle. Reflexed is still going in. Well,
you've got Agasbo trying to poke in the mid lane. Hjorth is really low, and Agasbo will get the solo kill. A beautiful combo from Agasbo to get the kill onto Hjorth, and that is another kill in the favor of Codex, who also picked up that Infernal Drake.
And right now, we pretty much saw perfectly what both of these team compositions want to do. They do have this Agasbo on that Ezreal with that double item power spike. He deals so much damage if you manage to get close enough to him. Something that isn't the case for someone like Silent Knight. So many of these bubbles have been hitting the enemy team over and over and over. And there are just so many squishy members. You have that Ezreal, you have that Anivia, even Karthus and Jax at this point. Everyone just blows up so much because no one has decided to build any magic resist just yet, and so it is just so much damage accumulated from Silent Knight in every single one of these team fights.
Yeah, and that's how important the Zoe is, and you mentioned that in the draft phase, that as soon as that Zoe came through, you said this is going to be a huge amount of poke, and it is. Now Baron is up. We're going to see vision getting cleared from the side of Oracle. Now again, in terms of turrets, you've got 3 turrets from Oracle. They've got 2 in the mid lane. I forgot about that they picked up with Shelly. How do you see Oracle and Codex playing this in terms of split pushes, etc.?
So in terms of split, Codex right now, they do have the Jax, which is probably one of the most known split pushers in the game. On the other hand, on the side of Oracle, you do have Space Viking sitting on that Silas, so he's definitely going to be able to match him there. Both of these top laners have that top teleport, so they can definitely try to utilize it. However, I don't think that either of these teams is right now going to be trying to go for a 1-3-1 composition, as another Sleepy Trouble Bubble hits. No one tanking for Reflexed, and watch how much damage is dealt to him. He doesn't even have Mercury Treads, and so his health bar is just shredded instantly.
And now Space Viking heading over to that bot lane. No one's there just yet, so he may be able to get a free outer turret and complete all of the outer turrets that Oracle have taken so far. Another Sleepy Trouble will actually land onto Godblade. The redemption coming through, it's not going to be enough on the burn. It doesn't actually hit, but El Grande tanking that for Godblade. Good job there, as Agasbo forced to use the Arcane Shift to dodge yet another Sleepy Trouble bubble coming through.
Build our Codex right now. They have to get some magic resist on their board, because else they're just getting poked to hell. I pointed to this in the picks and ban phase, and right now Silent Knight, he is playing that role perfectly. It is just making the health bars of Codex so low that they cannot stay on the Summoner's Rift at all, and so Silas is just able to take that bot lane turret no problem, and the rest of Oracle, they're baiting for this Baron. They can turn to this. However, there are 4 members of Codex, and so Oracle, they will look to disengage for now. Space Viking does have that teleport ready, so he can join his team if they desire.
A Godblade sitting in the River Brush. So he left the bot lane, which means that Space Viking is going to try to push that as much as he can. Godblade now trying to return, and so we may see him try to come in behind. Maybe he can pick off a nice little 1v1.
Yeah, definitely. Space Viking still right now has just so much damage. He does have that Luden's Echo, meaning that his wave clear is completely unparalleled by someone like Godblade. Godblade still is sitting on that Triforce, not even that Tiamat. So his wave clear isn't the best right now. It's nothing shabby, but he still cannot 1v1.
Yeah, now we're going to see the Paranoia coming through. This is going to land onto the Annie. But what backup plan didn't know was Reflexed and Plopper was sitting, waiting for that coming through, and a really nice bait from the side of Codex to pick up a kill onto backup plan.
Yeah, very nice bait there from Codex, just forcing backup plan to pretty much go with this instinct. However, now Reflexed is way too far in.
And that's a lot of damage coming through the culling as well. Reflexive will get the flash. Ignite burning. And the kill will go over to Tun. We're going to see a TP coming in the back line now from Space Viking. He will be able to get to Dr. Plopper with a double dash. He misses the second E. El Grande is here. He does have the CC available. He doesn't have
the ultimate from Talus.
And he will actually fall Dr. Plopper down as well. And as you mentioned, Space Viking has the Requiem available. Ooh. But Carthus can... Oh! And no kills! But there comes the True Shot Barrage! It is a double kill for Agasbo! And Oracle thought that they had escaped the worst, but Agasbo said, nope! Here comes my ultimate, as Codex will now begin on their third Mountain Drake. So when they get this, they could really burn through the Baron.
And that is what we call the barrage from downtown. So many low health bars on the side of KMG Oracle. Sorry, I'm just so flabbergasted by it that I'm forgetting the names of these teams. And that is the power that you have when you have this Ezreal together with that Karthus paired up on the Summoner's Rift. So much global damage that can be output by them together with that raw burst in the form of Annie. And right now, that is the scariness of that composition. Is that even the word? I'm not sure. But right now, Codex, they can definitely set up the vision around this Baron.
And again, let's just remind everyone right now that Space Viking has the Karthus ultimate. He has the Requiem. So if they start poking down, and we know that they can with Silent Knight, Space Viking will deal an insane amount of damage.
Right now, both of these teams, they're just sort of peppering around this Baron buff. They're trying to contest that vision, but the side of KMG Oracle cannot precisely go anywhere near it because they have to be scared of getting caught out. That is just a Proto Belt and an auto attack onto El Grande. He's half HP and now the Somersault.
Requiem's going to come through, and the culling as well will secure the kill onto El Grande. They could possibly move for Baron, although Dr. Plopper is still available. He will have his own Requiem up in about 15 seconds. But I have some good news for you, Kerem. One person was listening to your rant about Magic Resist, and Reflexed has a little bit of Magic Resist.
Well, that's great, but, you know, he's still dead.
Leafy Trouble Bubble lands onto Reflexed, and Silent Knight will pick up the kill. Sorry for cutting you short there, but
it's okay.
Another kill.
I'm used to it. No, but now the Baron buff is starting to go down. Hjorth is chunked by that True Shot Barrage, and he's dead! Straight up from that Requiem. The Baron buff is also reset, and so Oracle, they're unable to find anything.
However, Dr. Plopper may get caught out now. Will get instantly done. Both backup plan and Plopper will go golden. But Agasbo will find the damage anyway from the Mystic Shot. God's Blade is here, will not get hit by the Sleepy Trouble Bubble. But that's 4 kills going over to Codex. And now the Stand United will come through from Reflexive as Codex will start this Baron.
And this is such... Yes?
Sorry, I was going to say, don't forget, they have 3 Mountain Drakes.
Oh yeah, it's just melting once again like a snowman in spring. There's nothing that Oracle can even try to do. Once again, the global ultimates coming clutch for Codex. This pairing does have to be one of the most disgusting ones in the game right now. Perhaps even with the Zoe, it could have been even more terrifying. But now, Codex, they do get the Baron buff. And right now, all of the tier 1 turrets have been taken. Look for Godblade in that sideline. He does have that Baron buff. He can push these waves like a maniac, even despite not having any AoE damage in the form of a Tiamat. And it's looking really scary.
But have Codex now hit this crucial point where they will start to outscale Oracle?
Okay, I'm sorry. Suppose my microphone got out there for a bit. So, whoever the point of outscaling right now, it's pretty difficult to tell, but the side of Codex have Karthus. And I feel like, you know, that sort of speaks for everything. The point is that, yes. Yeah, that's fair as well. The thing with the lineup of Oracle right now is that Silent Knight hasn't decided to go for the Dark Harvest, something that we often see from Zoe. So he isn't going to be able to offer too much in the late game either. He still is going to have a lot of raw burst, but it's going to be outmatched by this Karthus, by this Jax. And so right now, Codex, they do outscale. However, they can still be beaten in a fair fight. What you don't see, however, is a fair fight. Every single time, it's Codex finding these picks, finding these just... damn it, I'm trying not to swear. Loads of damage. Okay.
Yeah.
From the
As
side of
Space
Earth.
Viking getting caught out in the bot lane, Godblade turning up and will secure the kill. This is also going to be the second turret in the bot lane falling. I don't know why I forgot that it was called the inner turret, but it will fall. And now you've got the 3 members of Codex in the mid lane. They're going to push there. Someone needs to answer Plopper and Godblade. Somehow, Silent Knight hits the trouble bubble through the minions onto Plopper, but he won't be able to get the paddle star, and that's the inhibitor turret that's going to fall.
This is such an interesting combination that we're seeing be played from Codex. Not 1-3-1, not a 1-4, but now backup line just dies immediately from that anti-burst. So much damage on the side of Codex. Of course, Reflexa gets caught out.
Well. So it's going to be a 1-for-1 there, but Codex doing so well right now, and you have to feel that the advantage is in their hand, as Godblade may get caught out here. He does have the wall jump, Culling coming through, but the flash from Godblade. We're now going to see the Requiem. Will it pick up a kill? Oh.
That doesn't deal any damage. I was expecting more from that stolen ult. Okay, well, I suppose when you compare it to the amount of damage that Plopper is able to display with those 11 kills, with those 3 items, as well as a fully stacked Magi's, it sort of skews up your vision a tiny bit. But now, Codex, they're in absolute control of the game. They're not skipping any steps. They're slowly taking apart the base of Oracle. They have taken that inhibitor, so that is going to be that one super minion with each wave spawning in that bot lane. And now Codex, they can just look to set up vision around this top side of the jungle of Oracle, making sure that they're completely blind, which would only allow their potential to get caught out, or to catch Oracle out, even more significant.
Aaron, do you know what time it is?
I feel like it's time for Dr. Plopper to press ult, yes.
It's time for Milky Cereal's interesting stat update.
Alright, that's my less favorite segment. Okay, sure, go.
Okay, so Silas has 220 AP, while the Carthus has 500 AP.
Right, yeah, that's probably why his ultimate didn't deal
800 AP
damage.
now. It's 800 because he just got the death cap.
Right, yeah, and he does have a full build. That's
Yeah.
at 31 minutes. That's going to be really, really insane, especially when you do have that Infernal Drake. If this game even goes on for long enough for the Elder Dragon to be spawned, there is no way that the entire lineup of Oracle can even try to survive the initial burst of that Requiem, as it still is on 112 seconds of a cooldown.
And the paranoia is going to come through as Aga's bow gets taken really low. However, somehow Tun takes the kill. He also picking up a kill onto Godblade. Oracle trying to turn this around now that the Baron buff has been has expired. Space Viking also steals the Annie ultimate, so he does have Tibbers available to him. It's a 3v3 in the bot lane currently. Silent Knight trying to stay in the side lanes and poke as much as he can.
And remember, while the entire team of Codex have so much damage, what they don't have is tankiness. And so whenever anyone is caught out on that team, that is going to definitely be a death for Codex. Reflexed is the only one who has built any remarkable amounts of magic resist, and so he's the only one able to survive this burst damage from Zoe, from that Silas. And if he isn't in the front line, that's just one dead carry for Codex, something that Oracle can utilize to come back into this game.
Just to clarify, Godblade has built a Hex Drinker, so he does have a little bit of MR now. As again, Silent Knight hitting yet another Trouble Bubble onto Aga's bow. However, Reflexed is able to use the Shadow Dash and tank the Paddle Star for his good old buddy, old pal, ADC man.
And poor Yorth right now, he's sitting in that base, but given that Lucian doesn't have the best of wave clears, he's having some kind of trouble with that, with managing 2 waves at once. Of course, Baron buff is spawning.
In the top lane, Space Viking's gonna go golden. He's surely there's no way he's getting out of that. He gets the HP regen off from the W, but it's not gonna save him. As now you've got 3 members of Codex who are gonna burn through this Baron with those 3 Mountain Drakes, while Annie and Shen are just pushing in that top lane on the inner turret, which will now fall.
And I really love this rotation from Codex. They see that Oracle, they start backing. However, in the meantime, Space Viking is still continuing his back. He isn't able to get back into his base in time. However, Godblade now is in the mid lane. Together with that, Shen Reflexes goes in.
Goes in, and Hjorth is really low. Paranoia is going to come through. That's in the top lane. You've got the Annie really low, as is Karthus, but don't forget, when he dies, he can use the Requiem, which is available. He's going to cast the Requiem now. The Trusha Barrage will pick up 1 kill. Hyoth almost dies from full HP, but that is going to be 2 kills going over to Codex. And now you've got Agasbo trying his best to poke down Space Viking so low. He will get off the Mystic Shot, followed by a flash to dodge the Silent Knight poke. Look how much damage the Silent Knight's taking. Can Silent Knight actually win that? Yes, he can. Godblade really low, will fall. The Nexus is open, and Codex are gonna win game 1.
In a very, very convincing fashion, may I add. 8k gold lead in the end for the side of Codex. The squad really showed us that, well, while they haven't played in 4 weeks, they can still play a pretty crispy game. Of course, the amount of deaths on their team may sort of neglect that, but still, they played it pretty well around the board. Of course, the only reason that they got caught out as many times as they did was because they were overextended. In the beginning, it was in mostly Godblade in that top lane, not setting up enough vision, getting it cleared out by backup plan and Space Viking, and in the end just succumbing to repeated ganks. In the end, however, he was able to just stay in that lane, just farm up, while the rest of his team got those kills. Dr. Plopper, so many of these lovely ganks in the bot lane, so many of these good teleports and roam from El Grande, and in the end, I really like what I saw from Codex, so let's just hope that they can transfer this momentum that they have accumulated into the game 2.
And speaking of game 2, we will be heading into a short break in just a moment. However, Codex, we mentioned before that this is almost a must-win game for them because they have Hillerod next week. And they're doing exactly what they need to do, which is taking game 1 by storm. It was a slightly slow start, but as their players got to their scaling points, because they did have that late game team, we started to see them dominate slightly. Heading into game 2, what would you like to see Oracle do differently?
What I would like for them to see is sort of try drafting a similar composition, but start punishing Plopper more. If he is still on something like that Karthus, you will have to relegate more attention towards him. We saw in the beginning that he was getting counter jungled. That's a good beginning, yes. I agree with that. However, you have to do it more often. You cannot allow someone like that late game scaling Karthus to just be able to get so many of these creeps and so many of these early game kills as well. You have to try and punish him in the early game. Something that they can also do is just ban him out, man. I also want to point out, Codex, they lost their bans. They lost 2 of their bans, and in the end they gave up a really dominant bot lane for Oracle. Something that Oracle weren't able to expand upon simply because there was so much of that enemy jungle pressure that shouldn't have even existed. So it isn't precisely about the draft for Oracle as it is about just playing better around this jungle pressure.
And on that note, guys, we will head into a break. Make sure you refuel up. We will be back in just a short minute for game 2 between Oracle and Codex.
Tonight we never face a dark down and lonely. We never lose control cause we're making up distance so close. In other words, you better give.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to this best of 3 between Oracle and Codex. Codex took game 1 as we saw Silas coming through from the side of Oracle, and Kerem, Codex won, but what did you say again that we wanted to see Oracle do differently?
So what I am looking at Oracle for doing is really just ironing out their ease of execution. They had a team composition that wasn't precisely that easy to play, even though they had pretty much counters all around the board. In the end, what they managed to mess up was the fact they did not shut Plopper down, something that they, I suppose, just forgot about. I guess that they forgot that if you just let Karthus exist without getting shut down, it just snowballs against you. They have to make sure that they keep that vision updated, and they have to make sure that their lanes are not overextended if they see, or rather if they don't see, the junglers or the mid laners, and they have to be a bit more patient. They cannot be as aggressive as they were. You saw Lucian in the Braum in the bot lane. Sure, that is the superior draft, that is the better bot lane, but if they're constantly pushed up, if they're constantly in the middle of the lane, and suddenly Silent Knight, El Grande is missing, Dr. Plopper, you don't know where he is, you have to run away. You cannot stay there. If you stay there, you'll die. Something that something that Codex have been able to utilize.
Yeah. And I also want to mention why we've kind of said that it would have been nice if backup plan was more aggressive against that Karthus. And, I mean, we could say maybe pick a Lee Sin, pick a Xin Zhao. To be fair, he did get the first blood on the Karthus. Remember, he sat really nicely at that red buff, waited patiently, and picked up the kill. But from then on, it just kind of fizzled away. And I don't want to say, because I feel like I'd be betraying myself if I said that Silas isn't a good pick.
No. Well, Silas is a very good pick indeed, but The problem was not the Sylas. Sylas, in fact, was really good in the top lane. Space Viking, he was able to push all of his advantages there. He was making sure that it was Godblade losing all of these creeps, that he was losing so much of that pressure. But in the end, it was just Codex with the superior gank in the bot lane that just swayed things around and completely turned the narrative. In the end, it was just Dr. Plopper outscaling. And so, I'm really looking forward to Oracle being able to clean out these games more effectively, whether it is through finding all of these early game picks and then playing a bit more patiently, or if it is just, you know, completely steamrolling the enemy team. And as the characters is banned away. Yeah.
I was about to say, we're in pick and ban, and the Zoe banned away from Silent Knight, who was huge on the Zoe, and the Carthus banned away from Plopper, who was huge on the Carthus. We're also seeing a Sejuani ban as we head into Oracle's second ban of the game.
Yeah, right now, I really like the reactive bans from both of these teams. I feel like we haven't mentioned it right now, but Silent Knight, we've talked about him a lot throughout the game. He was pretty much the only rock together with Space Viking that was keeping Oracle up above the water instead of just letting them drown. So, taking away that Zoe, we'll have to see how Silent Knight is great in the mid lane with some other picks. Outside of Karthus for Oracle, it is the Alistar taken away, making sure that they are not going to be facing any strong bot lane right now. Of course, something like that Lucian is still going to be opened up unless Oracle decides to ban it out with this third ban. And Codex, they're on the blue side, they can decide to pick that up. Last time they had the Ezreal, so it was still a nice early to mid game champion. But it's going to be the Sylas taken away. I'm sorry, Milky. I'm sorry.
Sylas taken away. However, Alistar banned as well, and something that excites me even more than the Sylas is Leona, because Leona's my main champion, and Tun plays Leona, and Oracle once again have banned Alistar, who, in my opinion, alongside Lulu, is the biggest Leona.
Is she? I wouldn't say so, but yes, she's
most people will say the Morgana or Tahm Kench. But
yeah, to be fair, I have seen you play those supports, so let's just, you know, move away from that. You mentioned that you wanted to see...
You came at a bad time in my stream, okay?
Okay, sure. Yeah, you were playing Braum, so that doesn't count. So, you mentioned that you wanted to see someone like an aggressive jungler, and you mentioned specifically Lee Sin, that is going to be locked in now. However, it's not for KMG Oracle, it's for Codex. They're staying away from the narrative that they managed to build in the first game. They're saying, we cannot just play these late game scaling compositions. We can just play something that is really early game focused. We can turn these lanes around without having to rely on scaling. KMG Oracle, they're saying, we still want to beat you in the early game. We're going to be better now in closing this game out. And they lock themselves in that Leona that you talked about. Together with that Ezreal, it is a really strong bot lane that Codex are going to have to fear, and that is why this Morgana is being hovered right now.
Can I get a face cam on, please? Because I'm grinning at the sight of Leona. Morgana is locked in as that counter pick for Leona. However, one thing I have noticed in my many games with the Leona, I'm not going to say my mastery points because I'm proud of it, but it's actually really low.
Yeah, so fun fact, do not compare competitive games to silver solo queue.
I'll have you know, I was gold last season.
Okay, fair.
Okay, but the thing with Leona is that when you use your Zenith Blade and you go in, the black shield does not stop the dash. And then you can still get your Q off on whoever doesn't have the black shield on them. So you can still get off a really nice combo even if you're playing against a Morgana.
Yes, that's definitely true. Also, Oracle decides to take away the Poppy for themselves. Of course, Space Viking has played that a couple of times in the Wintersplit thus far to, I'm going to say mixed success. Or wait, was it actually not Space Viking?
Oh, Space Viking has only played the Aatrox, Sion, and Karma prior.
Yes, sorry. It was someone else that I'm thinking of right now. Could have been Godblade. Yes, it was Godblade, sorry. So, regardless, disregard whatever I said, Oracle locking themselves the Poppy. It's technically a potential counterpick to Leona as well. That would make sense in the mid-game to late game. Now, Oracle, they're just taking their time with these bans. Ornn and Malzahar taken away, save disengages as well as engages from Codex, meaning that they maybe want to just scale up a bit in the mid lane and the top lane department, signaling that maybe they just want a safe tank in the top lane, a mage in the bot lane. Once again for Silent Knight, something like Lissandra is still open, and so right now we're going to have to see if Oracle are going to just go all out into early game aggression or just scaling.
And also something that I would like to mention is, remember my conspiracy from Sunday, where I said that all the teams that picked Kai'Sa won the game, and we are seeing a Kai'Sa from Codex, so...
So can we FF now? So can we just end the stream right now? Can we just say, okay, well, it's GG for Codex. Ooh, wait. Twisted Fate. Ooh.
This is El Grande on his Twisted Fate. He has played this once before, and I feel like this is a bit of a comfort pick for him. So I'm interested to see how he will do with this. Again, this is the first time we're actually going to see him play the Twisted Fate on live, I should say.
And so right now, I'm really looking forward to where this Oracle Poppy is going to go in the end. And there's a message popping up. Okay, never mind. Nothing important, at least right now. So this Poppy could still be going into the jungle, very technically speaking. It's likely going to be going into the top lane where she's going to be meeting this Shen, which would mean that it's going to be Vladimir into Twisted Fate, which is a really, really good matchup for Vladimir. It is going to be able to just bully Twisted out because Vladimir has the superior sustain in lane. He doesn't suffer from any mana issues. He can just heal up whatever poke Twisted Fate is able to throw at him. He's able to run away from the stun of Twisted Fate. It's just such a nice matchup, but it's going to be Vladimir in the top lane playing against the Zed. Well, Twisted Fate is going to have to play under his turret. Yes.
Sorry, Vladimir not against the Zed, Vladimir against the wait, I think I don't know, I missed.
Yes, sorry, I misspoke. Against the Shen. Yes.
And so that means we're going to see a poopy jungle.
Please don't color that. I'm just gonna say that.
I love it. Do you not like my pet name for Poppy?
I do not want to hear your pet names here on stream, Milky. Okay, regardless. Oh, yes, God. It is going to be Poppy Jungle. We have seen her be played in the Wintersplit quite a few times. I remember really good success on her. I believe it was in fact Kreiner playing her for the old squad of Lyra. I'm not sure right now, so do not quote me on that. I just remember that Poppy has had great success, and in the mid game, she's going to be able to counter so many of these dashes. It really makes sense that she's going to be in the jungle rather than in the top lane, because she wouldn't be able to affect the map as much. With this, she's going to be able to use the steadfast presence in the mid lane if she's ganking, and if Lee Sin is there, she's going to be a nice and a great save barrier from this all out. Zed, he is nice into Twisted Fate. If he can get an early kill, he's going to snowball out of control, but Twisted Fate can lock him down with that stun card, and so it opens up for a possibility of that Lee Sin to run over there. Poppy is going to be able to counter him and just say, you're not moving around, kid. You know, just see you on the block. See you next week as I run over to this other lane and try to snowball it there.
Right. And it looks like, Karen, you're in a lot of luck because you're going to get a Milky's interesting stat quite early on. And,
I think I can read it in the channel.
Yeah, you can, but we have to let everyone know for, in the stream about these interesting stats.
Go ahead.
So Zed has been picked twice before in the Wintersplit, and he has 100% win rate. Isn't that beautiful? Oh,
this is basically the what's it called? The oxymoron of like putting a bread with its buttered side up onto the back of a cat, right? Because you're going to be having this. Yes. Really? Have you never heard of that? That meme? It's like the cat falls on all her fours, right? That's the saying. And the butter always falls onto sorry, not the butter. The bread always falls onto its buttered side. So if you let these two objects fall together, they're going to create an endless loop of energy. Have you never heard of that meme?
I've never heard of that meme.
Never. Okay, well, you know, that's okay. So basically, for you, my allegory is not funny. I hope that for anyone in the Twitch chat, they'll at least chuckle, because this has been embarrassing. Now, to respond to that fact, Zed, he has seen, yes, some play, 2 games thus far, 100% win rate, your conspiracy, something, yada yada, playing against this Kai'Sa who, according to you, has 100% win rate. She doesn't. She has.
I was just saying on Sunday. Yeah. On Sunday.
On Sunday. Okay, it's just on Sunday. So we'll have to see if this Kai'Sa is going to be able to stand up to her name of that Sunday majesty pick. I'm going to say. Because Zed, if he gets a going, if he gets that snowball a rolling, he's going to be able to... my tongue is just twisted today. Twisted Fate, you could say. No, Zed... Yes, so... Twisted Fate isn't running anything supportive. We're currently sitting in the League client right now, and he is running that Ignite. This is signaling to me that he is going to be wanting to play around with Dr. Plopper a lot. We're likely going to be seeing this Lee Sin play around that mid lane. It is the lane where he will have the biggest potential for a success, most importantly before that level 6 hits. After that, it's going to be almost always over for El Grande in that mid lane. He's always going to have to play under his own turret against this Zed, and that opens up Zed to roam around. He will have this such important kill lane in the bot lane. So much damage, so much lockdown. In the top lane, if he works in tandem with Poppy, again, so much damage, so much lockdown, he can go anywhere. And so it's really important that we see Dr. Plopper being aggressive in the early game. It's important that we see him moving into that mid lane together with El Grande, even possibly level 3 or level 2 gank. Just do everything that you can to shut Silent Knight down.
And also, I want to talk about combos that we have, which is Godblade on the Shen. Of course, you have that last stand available. That last stand can work quite nicely with Plopper on the Lee Sin. Of course, he has the engage with the Sonic Wave. It works on El Grande, who has his own ultimate, which means that he always feels like anywhere across the map. And of course, with a killer instinct on Agasbo's Kai'Sa.
Yes, so a lot of semi-global ultimates, kind of global, a lot of mobility, of course, on the side of Codex. It would work well with the game plan that we have seen them play in the first one, which was a lot of roaming coming from El Grande. He was playing that Annie, which isn't the most dominant laner on that in the laning phase, but she's not precisely known for her roaming either. So I'm really excited to see where he does decide to go. Once again, before level 6, I am really expecting him to receive a lot of jungle pressure from Dr. Plopper. After that, it's really whatever, you know. He can actually combo his own ultimate Destiny together with Stand United from Godblade to get an instant 2-man teleport somewhere like to that bot lane. Kai'Sa doesn't have enough damage in the early game on her own to be able to just burst someone like this Ezreal and Leona down, but if you have a 4v2, right? Yeah, it doesn't necessarily work out for you too often.
Yeah, and that's the important thing about Twisted Fate. You don't need to have that TP. You can run something like Ignite or a Barrier, for example. While on the side of Oracle, they do have 2 TPs because he did take the TP on the Ezreal. And that's something we seem to be seeing a lot of times now. There's always Ezreal taking that TP. Also, another thing I want to mention is I'm really interested to see when Silent Knight gets his ult off, whether El Grande will be able to get his gold card available and stun Zed the instant he comes out of Deathmark.
I mean, yeah, that's not precisely the most of intricate moves that you can do on any champion. Of course, it's just a point-and-click ability. However, the more interesting part is that as soon as Zed gets the ultimate, if El Grande doesn't have his position of the wave good enough, he's going to die. He has to have that position and under his turret. If he is anywhere outside of that, if he is anywhere where Zed isn't going to be able to get locked down and suffer from 2 or 3 turret hits, he's going to get blown up immediately. Zed is running that Ignite. However, if he is diving, he's just going to get shredded by what you mentioned, that gold card stun in an instant, together with that Ignite from El Grande, as well as the turrets. So really keep your eyes on where the wave is in the mid lane for as soon as both of these mid laners are starting to reach that level 6, because it can open up the way for Silent Knight to start snowballing.
And
what? No, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I was kind of losing track of my thoughts. But no, I remember what I wanted to say now, which is if your Codex, your mid laner and your top laner have 2 non-combat ultimates, which means that in terms of the laning phase anyway, they can get a bit bullied post 6.
Yes, definitely, especially with the case of Twisted Fate, who is going to have to play really, really far back in the lane as soon as Zed once again hits that level 6. a lot of question marks and exclamation marks in the chat right now that I'm seeing. Of course, I cannot read Danish, unfortunately, but however, we are still in a pause. That much I can read. So, a bit about the top lane matchup. Shen is going to get pushed in hard. Vladimir into Shen is such a nice and a healthy matchup for Vladimir because Godblade isn't going to be able to envelop him in any amount of damage. He isn't going to be able to get any good trading patterns because whenever he dashes in, Space Viking, he just goes into the blood pool. Nothing that Godblade can do to resume that trade. He has to fall back and he will get poked by the auto attacks as well as so many of those ranged abilities that Vladimir has. So a really nice matchup for Space Viking, and once again, something that he can try to snowball, especially if Godblade goes for some unfortunate help, I'm going to say, to his teammates like what we saw in the first game.
Yeah, so you mentioned... God, I don't know what's happening to my thoughts today. But yeah, you mentioned Space Viking being able to go into that pool of blood. However, we are now seeing Codex. They actually might call out Hjorth. Hjorth is... He's going to have to flash over the wall. He's got no way out of it otherwise. Grande's
Wait, Hjorth, what are you doing?
Down.
What are you doing? What? Why?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you flash immediately? I am so puzzled by that play.
I think he thought if he flashed, where would he go, and that maybe he'd die regardless.
The possibility was, yeah, that there was going to be someone behind that wall, but he already saw that there were 5 members of the lineup of Codex just standing there waiting for him and just to, you know, stand there and die. But regardless, that is a kill heading now into the pockets of Kaisag. It's going to be able to survive this matchup at least a bit more easier. Silver lining, Ezreal gets that mana potion. And he also keeps both of his summoners up, which is a less joking silver lining fact.
Also, kids, that's why you don't put a point into your ability until you need it.
Yeah, pretty much. The thing with Ezreal and scaling his ability pretty early on is that Hjorth put that ability into his queue as soon as he got into that pit because he went for what he thought was going to be a few extra stacks on that Kleptomancy, a few early gold, and so he didn't choose that E because, well, he couldn't possibly think that there was going to be a 5-man invade. Well, a little fun fact, that happened in the first game as well. I suppose you could say that Codex loved their invades, but yes, now Codex going in on level 2.
Binding will actually land, and Hjorth is going to get burned out massively by the tormented soil, and that's a kill going over onto Reflected, and Agasbo on the late game Kaiser with a kill and an assist 2 minutes in.
And that is a really unfortunate turn of events. 2 kills now heading into the hands of Agersbo. Oh wait, no, just 1. The second one went for Morgana, but 2 deaths now heading into the graveyard of Ezreal. An unfortunate, once again, second death. He has decided to go for the Spell Thief's Edge, which is a pretty interesting pickup. You don't see it necessarily every game. However, it works now in the mid lane though. Silent Knight is going in El Grande.
Oh, and the CC, the Ignite's coming through, and El Grande will pick up the kill. Dr. Plopper was at the Raptors and was moving over, but wasn't needed as El Grande will pick up the solo kill onto Silent Knight. And we mentioned how important it will be when Silent Knight does hit 6 and has the death mark available to him. But as it stands, El Grande should hit 6 first.
Yeah, right now he will definitely be able to just move out of the wave. He is going to be able to just push Silent Knight under his own turret with so much of that wave clear that he is going to be provided by with that early kill. He even has that corrupting potion. He has decided to go for a null magic mantle. That is a questionable pickup, yes, I'm going to say, but regardless, he's going to be able to survive that lane a bit easier, even though he hasn't picked up anything that fights well against Zed. And so a really unfortunate fight that the Silent Knight decided to pick because Twisted Fate still has damage, especially when he has Ignite.
Yeah, I mean, I know Van mentioned in the chat that he's told his players to get defensive items for Karthus, but someone should tell them that there is no Karthus in this game.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with that fact. Now in the meantime, in the bot lane, Reflected is getting damaged, but I'm sorry. Plopper was in the mid lane. Why can I not talk?
It's a contagious disease for myself where I forget what English is, and then my fellow co-caster also forgets English.
In the meantime, El Grande managed to find another kill on Silent Knight, flashed in for that stun card, and just killed him once again. He didn't have his ignite up. Silent Knight used his own, and so that is going to be one sad Zed. 0-2 in the mid lane, 0-2 in the bot lane, and things are starting to look really, really nice for the side of Codex, even better than they were in the first game.
Right, now backup plan is turning up into the bot lane. Hjorth will cancel the back, and what I wanted to mention before Hjorth rudely cancelled that back is Hjorth has opted for a Spell Thief's Edge.
Yes, so I mentioned it briefly. I didn't get to talk about it a bit more in depth, which is something that I can definitely do right now. Of course, the support items were changed a tiny bit in the sense that you now have to be next to your lane partner to be getting that passive gold from them, or well, passive, semi-passive. That is not going to matter to Ezreal at all. It is going to matter if Omega Ton is going to be running in that mid lane to try to salvage the situation together with Silent Knight for a bit. However, it's still going to be giving him so much passive money, especially now that he has upgraded it to Frostfang. Accumulate that together with Kleptomancy, and this Ezreal is just going to be able to farm up to hell. Now, the only item that he's sort of missing for this to be a full farm lane is the cull, but you know, you can't have everything perfect in life.
Don't say that, we're going to see a cull come out next item now.
Yes, likely. Like, it will actually make sense right now, given that he has pretty much lost the lane. He is 30 CS down compared to a Kai'Sa. That's a really, really bad situation for him to find himself in. And so right now,
El Grande's going to go in onto Silent Knight. No, he's just going to get off the trade. But also, going back to that bot lane, it's currently a BF sword versus a Frostfang.
Yeah, that's the problem that you have when you're going a Frostmancy, as it was called in the Twitch chat, Ezreal. You're pretty much sacrificing all of the combat abilities that you're going to have on Ezreal. You're basically giving up the fact that you have an aggressive support, in this case of Leona. You're basically giving up all of your lane pressure. You're just saying, I want to farm, I don't want to fight. And that is something that Kai'Sa is quite happy to do.
Watch the mid lane now, because you got Dr. Plopper. He's sitting around. He's waiting for the chance. If El Grande can get this CC off, we may see the dive. Here it is. The Sonic Wave will land, and the resonating strike. And that is going to be a juicy kill going over to Dr. Plopper.
And in fact, that was a really nice play from Grande. However, it could have been countered by Zed by just popping into that ultimate. Now, we don't have time to talk too much. Hjorth and Omega Ton just getting chunked for quite a bit in that bot lane, but Dr. Plopper is there trying to sway the favors.
And Plopper is going to come in from behind. He gets a flash Dragon Kick. He's going to take some damage from the turret, but the Stand United will come through, and Plopper will get a double kill. 3-0 now on that Lee Sin.
Really lovely double kill heading into the pockets of Dr. Plopper, ladies and gentlemen. The Blind Monk is going to be seeing a lot of success right now. Of course, he's going to be able to finish that enchantment as soon as he goes back. And of course, they're able to convert it directly into an Infernal's Rake, which is really nice. Of course, a lot of damage now going to be sitting in their pockets. One kill still sitting on that Kai'Sa. She's going to be able to just do so much with those early game items, which is going to be able to pick up. And the entire lineup of Oracle, they're not precisely looking too strong. Unless Codex mess up really bad, it's going to be really difficult for them to come back.
Oh, Silent Knight will get in a trade onto El Grande. He does have the death mark available, so we have to watch out for that now, because he can commit. Also, did you really make that pun?
I did. Yes. You'd be right.
Oh, as it reflects it, will land the Dark Binding. The W will come through. Killer Instinct as well. Hjorth taking a lot of damage. He's got nowhere to go. And a beautiful play, all started from a great Dark Binding from the support.
And that is the BF sword and the pickaxe. However, in the meantime, Silent Knight manages to get the perfect burst in the mid lane, ruining the chances of that perfect game for Codex. However, Megaton is here in the mid lane. Dr. Plopper just teetering on the verge of, well, completely getting annihilated. That's a lot of BM. Jesus Christ. That is insane.
The safeguard to dodge the solar flare. Yeah, that is just too much BM, and I feel like when they do that, Karma is gonna come and strike.
Yeah, eventually it has to, you know. That would be the perfect twist of fate.
Right, I'm off, guys. I'll see you for the next game. I'll see you at playoffs, right?
Okay, no. So,
it was a good punt. I'll
thank you. Thank you. So I want to talk about the fact why Silent Knight was able to just murder El Grande outright, and that is because El Grande has decided to go for purely magic resist. There is no armor sitting on him right now. He does have that stopwatch. It wasn't available to him before. Yord is getting chunked down in the bot lane now. Agger's bow waiting if he wants to go in, decides against it, and now backup plan is there, trying to act as that reinforcement.
He will get the dash through. The ultimate knockup will come through. However, Reflexive goes golden to stop the true shot barrage, and it's going to be a double kill going over as El Grande ults into the bot lane to turn the fight. 10 kills to 1 now for Codex.
In the meantime, in the mid lane, Dr. Plopper also went in on Silent Knight. Silent Knight didn't have access to that ultimate, so he was unable to really do anything. However, things are just not going well for the lineup of Oracle. They initiate a fight. However, once again, they don't realize that Codex have the access to that Twisted Fate. Now, Dr. Plopper in the topside jungle, though.
He will have to try. He dodges the Q, but the Q will still land. Deathmark gonna come through. The stand united. Can they get the damage through in time? No, they can't. And Silent Knight just about survived. If Godblade had got the ultimate through maybe a second earlier, they could have possibly got a return kill.
Yeah, definitely. However, it's really important that Oracle are finding these
look
picks.
In the bot lane, because El Grande with the flash stun.
Ooh, that Void Seeker!
And they will actually hit. Sorry, I think I was about 2 seconds behind you. I should be back up now.
That's okay.
Yeah, a beautiful Void Seeker, a beautiful Void Seeker from Agasbo, who's now 3-0, and Oracle are scaling so well.
Yeah, they're just going to be able to completely outscale Oracle at this point. It's really going to be a bit impossible for Oracle. They're pretty much relying on Codex to mess up, and presuming that Codex keep on playing how they have been for this long, it should be a really no-brainer for them to be able to close out this game.
And I'm going to take a quick look. We're going to be getting a spicy second Infernal Drake. Maybe we'll see the Serenity Gaming special triple Infernal Drake.
Ooh, that would be really fire, I have to say. Now, the entirety of the map...
I feel like when you do that, you have to give me some time to applaud your pun.
No.
We can't just ignore it as if it didn't happen.
No, okay, they're just moving past in quick succession. You know, you do not have time to just... what's it called? Just lay on them. Yes, sit on them. In the meantime, Rift Herald is going to be able to be taken down by Dr. Plopper. No one is seeming to take the eye for now. Please. Okay, El Grande will pick it up. Thank you, good sir. They can actually try to plop it down in that top lane. The turret plates are really juicy and hide a lot of gold. Now El Grande meets that Zed.
And the stun comes through instantly. And remember, this is what I said in the drop. I'm waiting to see when Silent Knight will use the death mark and El Grande will CC him instantly, and he then gets blown up.
I'm sorry for laughing. I should not be laughing at one's misfortune like that. That was a really unfortunate death from Silent Knight. He didn't realize that Dr. Plopper was there. What they do have to realize is that this Shelly is in the mid lane. El Grande, so much wave clear, so much threat right now to the entirety of Oracle. They cannot precisely do anything to stop this Shelly from charging once again. Codex, they will pick up that Infernal Drake that you talked about. Well, things are starting to look really, really damn good for them.
Also, I don't think I can blame you for laughing. It's kind of hard when you've got your producer in your ear just bursting out laughing as well. So yeah. I think we have to blame Joe for that one.
Thank you. And see, for you guys that don't know, we have our producer in our ear right now, and you know it's really difficult when something happens and he's just like laughing out loud. Now, in the meantime, Reflexed gets caught out. Yep. He isn't actually going to die to the death mark.
Get that, but. Oh, the true shot barrage. He had nowhere to go, and that's the issue when you're in a confined space in the jungle. You cannot dodge you cannot dodge. You cannot dodge a true shot barrage from an Ezreal. But they did manage to find the kill onto Silent Knight.
And in the top lane, Space Viking also dies. Really unfortunate there. Aggersbow is able to take that top lane turret. Things are just starting to fall apart for Oracle. They find one kill, but they trade way too much pressure for it in the long run. Omegaton now in the top lane. Backup plan there to aid him out.
The TP is going to come through, but Twisted Fate is going to ult as well. Backup plan getting a little bit low. However, you're going to get completely caught out, and that's going to be a kill going over to the Twisted Fate, who is now 5-1.
And so much of this global pressure being able to put down by that Shannon and Twisted Fate. However, that's not it.
We've got the engaged. Silent Knight has a death mark available. He will wait to use it. He won't need it because El Grande is going to fall, as will Godblade, and that's just going to be an easy 2 kills going over to Oracle.
And this is perhaps the first fight that Oracle are able to find without immediately handing anything away over into the pockets of Codex. Really important that they keep on finding these picks. Maybe if Codex keep on overextending like this, maybe it can be a potential route for Oracle to take with these teleports. Maybe they can try to match these ultimates of Twisted Fate and Shed to try to shed through their health bars. The problem is Yorth hasn't even finished that first item. He doesn't even have access to that Manamune right now, which means that he's pretty much useless in any sort of team fight. He is going for a double stacking build, and so they're still relying to scale on this Ezreal. They have mixed messages in their itemization. They want to fight with that Zed. They want to utilize the fact that he's a really strong early game assassin. However, they're scaling with that Ezreal, and right now they're just losing everything around the map.
Please tell me you saw the Zed just about escape with 10 HP.
Yeah.
Plopper, the dragon kick, just not enough. Ah.
Unfortunate. Really unfortunate.
But he will land the Sonic Wave and doesn't even need the Resonating Strike to kill Hjorth. Hjorth is 1-8, and I feel like it's just one of those games for him. As the Flash Dark binding from Reflexed in the mid lane will be cancelled by Space Viking going into the pool of blood. However, Space Viking now going to get collapsed on after they pick up the kill onto Reflexed, and it's 2 kills for 1 for Codex.
And a really lovely pickup there for the side of Codex. Once again, just picking up those kills, picking up that extra gold. Kai'Sa is sitting on those 2 items. She deals so much damage. No resists from the side of Oracle just yet. Not even any single amount of magic resist. Sort of the same story of what we saw last time around. You now have this Twisted Fate bursting them down, as well as this Kai'Sa.
Oh, as Tun will land the Zenith Blade, but Godblade's able to get out in time. And going back to what you were mentioning about there being no magic resistance, it's always the case when you're behind. You want to get your first items, but then do you want to prioritize your items, or do you want to go for getting defensive items?
Well, it's really difficult to say, because at this point I feel like defensive items are a mixed bag, because you want to be able to put out that damage, and especially when you have some strong frontliners. In the case of Leona and Vladimir, you could focus on those strong early game offensive items on someone like that Ezreal, and have the rest definitely focus defensive. But now in the bot lane,
the Sonic Wave will land onto Tun, who tries to get the Zenith Blade onto El Grande. 1 kill going over the flash. Sonic Wave from Plopper won't be enough, but that is just going to be 1 kill going over, and now Codex will just rotate over to the 3rd Infernal Drake, which is spawning in just under half a minute.
And Godblade is also taking that turret in the top lane by storm. Yorth is trying to do anything about this wave, but Space Viking has to use the Hemo play.
Silent Knight does have the death mark, will use it. Godblade using the taunt a second too early. Why wouldn't you save the taunt for when Silent Knight comes out of death mark? Well, anyway, Silent Knight, a bit of a misplay. Kill. Yeah, good kill anyway from Silent Knight. I guess if you don't buy the ticket, you won't win the raffle.
Yeah, that's a very nice saying, I have to say. Now in the bot lane, Omegaton, they're looking to go in. Saladin is there, no access to ultimate.
He's used the Yomu's Ghost Blade. He flashes, he gets the damage off. Aggersbow will be able to survive, just under half HP. Ignite has stopped ticking. They have no way of fighting back right now, because Dr. Plopper has just secured that third Drake, and the next one will be an Ocean Drake.
Oof, really just giving us something to wash all of this fire down. Jesus, 3 Infernal Drakes in the pockets of Codex is just going to mean that there's so much combined damage on their part. That Void Seeker just shredding through Ezreal's health bar for 400 HP. However, I want to point out, sending Silent Knight to the side lane whenever you see Godblade over there is a really good strategy. Remember, all of these ultimates are available for Codex. However, one of them is on that Shen, and if it isn't anywhere where the Shen is,
we're getting a death mark in the mid lane onto El Grande. Can he get the damage off? It's not going to be enough, only able to take away half of the HP, but he almost gets caught out by the shadow that was left.
And, well, he survived with around 500 HP, so no big deal for Twisted Fate right now. However, they're moving around this Baron Pit, no vision from either side, in fact. Right now, both of these teams are trying to fight for it. It is spawned just freshly, so it makes sense that no one controls it just yet. Scuttlecrab has been taken by El Grande, so they don't necessarily have to worry about Oracle going for some sneaky play there.
So I've got a quick question.
Yes.
If Silent Knight tries to get a kill onto Godblade while he's split pushing, surely Godblade can just use the last stand to the rest of his team and he'll survive because of the shield, as actually El Grande just dodges his Zenith Blade.
Yeah, he just dodges it pretty nicely. Yes, that is something that he can do, but it's still using a vital ultimate. However, in the bottom side jungle, Godblade is getting caught out a bit.
Uses the Q just to get himself the passive up, gets the shield. However, you got Plopper along the side trying to flank. Backup plan does get caught out, takes a fair bit of damage. El Grande just survives after the last stand. However, Agasbo is able to find the kill onto Zed, and they may be able to rotate for Baron after picking up this inhibitor turret that is only sitting at 1000 HP.
And the wave is coming in. They're going to be able to shed through this entire inhibitor turret, perhaps even the inhibitors. 15 seconds still in Silent Knight in that fight. Here once again got caught out. Flash doesn't manage to find anything in the end. Reflexed goes golden.
Goes golden, ends all the engaged potential from backup plan there. Missing a couple of dark bindings, but that's fine, as a Ton will engage with the Zenith Blade. You've got Godblade all by himself. He's keeping away 2 members. However, Ton will get the CC down, will die in the end. Backup plan really low, but this is going to be the inhibitor falling. 1 kill for none from the side of Codex. However, here comes the True Shot Barrage. Was that
didn't heal him. What happened?
I swear that hit Plopper.
I am really unsure of what the hell happened there. I will scale back.
But the taunt will come through and Silent Knight will die yet again. So 2 kills. However, in the top lane, backup plan really low. Will die. Space Viking will use the Proto Belt to get out to safety. And while we're mulling over whether True Shot Barrage actually hits, there's more fighting and Codex pick up another 2 kills.
And that it's a lot of individual mistakes from the side of Oracle right now. It's something that they're definitely going to have to work on. Hjorth is simply not having his game. Dr. Plopper and the entirety of Codex right now, they're pretty much just outplaying Oracle on all fields. Megaton is trying to find some CC down, but in the end, it's just this Lee Sin and Morgana pressuring as Kai'Sa makes her way to that Baron Pit. No Mountain Drakes taking this game, so it's going to take 1 more second to fall down instead of the usual 5, so that's definitely nice. Look at how quickly it's going. What a poor worm.
Oh, True Shot Barrage? No. Okay,
no,
and
no.
We've got confirmation. Apparently Plopper just used Safeguard and the Ezreal ult deals so little damage that it looked like it did nothing.
Yike. That's a yiker. Also, I'm really excited to see that Plopper is in the chat while we play.
Yeah, I was just wondering, why are you in the chat? Get on with your game.
It's okay. They're just having fun over in this game. You know, he's been BMing quite a bit here in this game. Regardless, moving back into the game, the Baron buff has been taken by the side of Codex. So right now you are seeing Dr. Plopper moving through that mid lane. There is nothing keeping that inhibitor safe, as it's already been destroyed. Hjorth is trying to push away the offenders on that top side. Nothing that he can do, however, he gets caught out by the Dark Binding.
And
well,
the Sonic Wave will come through. Plopper picking up a kill. Last Stand coming through on Plopper. We mentioned that beforehand, as Killer Instinct will secure the ace, and Codex will now rush through this. And I guess that's why Plopper was messaging, as there is actually a surrender.
Yeah, I suppose that makes sense. That answers my question. No, Oracle, it was a pretty bad game for them. Not the best of looks. Hjorth, he gave away a lot of opportunities starting off with that unfortunate scaling of that Q. He didn't expect, he didn't put down his vision wards, and he went into the worst possible scenario that he could have had put himself into. Then he just went for those scaling items, and he didn't do anything to try to combat Kai'Sa in the early game, which is really unfortunate. However, the same can be said about, well, the entirety of KMG Oracle. Space Viking, he was unable to find anything in top lane on that Godblade. Silent Knight, he found a kill, however it was way too late, he couldn't carry the game, and in the end it is Codex walking away with a pretty dirty victory, but still a win nonetheless.
And a really good showing from Codex, and this does mean, I mean, hopefully someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. Codex have made it through to playoffs because Oracle only have one game left, and now that Codex have picked up a 3-0, Oracle can only equal them, but Codex will have the head-to-head. Sorry, Codex will go through as long as Chimera lose later this week.
Yes, so yeah. So there is still an opportunity for other teams to climb into that playoff spot, most notably Chimera, but still, it's going to be a bit more difficult for, well, Oracle to try to get there. Technically there is a possibility, but well, it's looking quite slim that they beat their last opponent 2-0. Only that way they could perhaps get in if Virgo loses, but still those opportunities are there for them. But well, it's going to be Codex. They're going to be happy tonight. It's going to be them really rejoicing, you know, making sure that they get that easy route over into the playoffs and into Ranvirs, where the finals are possibly going to be held. Well, not possibly going to be held, where possibly Codex are going to show up, yes.
Yeah, and so we did mention before on how important this game was between Codex and Oracle, as it would determine the spots. And with that loss, Oracle can no longer make playoffs. So it is now between Codex and Chimera. Just to clarify on that, Chimera have got 2 games coming up against Virgo and Hydra, while Codex have to play against Topaz and Hillerod, who are currently sitting 3rd and 2nd respectively.
And at the same time as this stream, there is another game going down between Crater and Pegasus. Pegasus, of course, sitting on 1 point in Division 2, Crater at 10. I still don't believe that Crater have locked their position into playoffs just yet. There's still a possibility of them dropping out, I believe. Oh wait, no. Okay, I'm looking at the points right now. That's dumb, what I said. Never mind, they're locked in. So it's currently 1-1. Pegasus have managed to find that one victory. And well, it's still going to be a fun road over to Ranvirs. I feel like there are still a lot of teams that can make it. It's looking relatively even in the top 6. Of course, there are those 2 teams that are seeming to dominate everyone, which is Onyx and Hero. However, anything can happen. The rejuvenated Topaz lineup can perhaps try to do something. Even Hydra have shown us spots of brilliance. However, right now, there is something that we can talk about, and that is the MVPs. Please, guys, Straw Balls links are in the chat, so hey, go vote for whoever you thought was the biggest MVP for both of these teams tonight.
So, Kerem, who's your MVP from both sides?
Ooh, my MVP. So, it's actually pretty difficult when I have to decide, at least from today's game, because it felt like everyone really did their part. From KMG Oracle, it would be Silent Knight. He was pretty much the only saving grace for Oracle, because in the first game he was the only thing keeping them afloat. In the second one, he was sort of keeping them limping instead of completely getting their kneecaps shattered. So, you know, that's definitely the person that my MVP would go to. And in the case of Codex, well, Dr. Plopper. You know, in the first game, I don't think that I have to specify why that Karthus was disgusting. I nothing to add. And in the second game, he also found a lot of nice ganks. So hey, I'm not trying to sway your guys' opinion, but that's just mine. That's just mine.
I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna agree with you with Silent Knight. I feel like Space Viking did really well in game 1. He played well on that Silas, and I feel like he was unlucky not to have got more out of that game. Remember that CS goal lead he had in game 1. Also, even in game 2, if you look at the end screen, he had a 90 CS advantage in that game. So,
yeah.
All things considered, I think my MVP will go to Space Viking. Even though Silent Knight was so good on the Zoe, I just feel Space Viking was more consistent over both games. With respect to Codex, I'm going to give it to Agasbo because it proves my conspiracy. Kaiser wins, and
God damn it.
Okay, and in game 1 he shut down the Lucian, which is my second conspiracy actually, which is somehow every single game I cast on, Lucian loses. I don't get why. Lucian's an early game champion, but whenever I cast, he just doesn't win the early game. I don't get why.
Well, I feel like you should make sure that whenever a team is planning to play those champions, you just let them know, hey, I'm going to be casting this game, you know. You're either going to win or you're going to lose. It's got a 100% success rate thus far. It's a pretty nice prophecy that you have made up over here. Your conspiracy theories and Airy. I feel like that is going to be your legacy. What is going to be our legacy for tonight, ladies and gentlemen, however, is the fact that we're going to be wrapping up the stream, and so the mandatory end card. We got a sponsor, of course, Lovely Gamers Class. If you want to improve at League of Legos, Counter-Strike, and other games, I believe that there is going to be a Fortnite seminar sometime in the future. There are people like Froggen that are willing to teach you. Thank you guys for sponsoring us. They're going to be also sponsoring the reward to whoever is going to win the finals that are going to be taking place in early March in Ranvier. So you can buy the tickets there at serenitygaming.org, not .com. I was corrected yesterday, on Sunday. I was feeling pretty bad. Outside of that, please guys do follow us everywhere. YouTube, Facebook, here on Twitch, as well as Twitter. We're active in a lot of different places, you know, in real life as well, like I suppose you could say. And finally, make sure that you join our Discord, because we're pretty active there. We're a nice little friendly community. We post bad memes and stuff like that. There are other people that are
dicey memes.
Yeah, no, and there are just those times where GIFs are just omnipresent, so that's also fun. But yes, join us. We have a friendly community. We play games quite a lot, so if you are not there yet, then come join us. And for tonight, my name has been Karim, and my lovely other caster has been Milky Cereal, and we both wish you a good night.
Mm-hmm.